another interesting edition of the program, The Woman in You. Welcome and thank you for joining us on this week's edition of the program, The Woman in You. This program comes to inspire women, just to let you know that you are special. Yes, on this show, we tell you about the worth of every woman because every woman is wonderful. Every woman is outstanding. Every woman is marvelous, adorable, and nice. And we should be treated that way. Yes. Sister, you looking at me right now. You are 100% that queen. I tell you always. Believe in yourself. We'll come here to let you know that through the stories of these women we bring on each week, we inspire you and let you know that you too can achieve in life whatever it is you are dreaming about. Welcome on board on this week's edition. Yes, I've got pride, I've got class. Yes, I have potentials and I'm special. Joy Uche is my name. Thank you for joining us. Today we have an amazing woman on set with us. A beautiful woman. She's a mother. She's a grandmother. She is a legal practitioner. She is a seasoned administrator. Ladies and gentlemen, join me to welcome Lady Betty Iboka. Good day, ma'am. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, my dear.
And I've heard a lot about you, and I so desired to come. I said, this is the kind of women we'd like to bring on our show. And we thank you for giving us the permission to come talk with you today.
Thank you.
So let's get to know who really is Lady Betty Iboka.
I'm glad to be on your program.
Thank you, ma'am.
Lady Betty Iboka is a private legal practitioner. I'm a seasoned administrator. I practice alternative dispute resolution.
That's good.
Because I'm a certified mediator. I'm a certified arbitrator. And I'm a certified negotiator. I'm also a neutral public.
Okay.
I come from Ogwashuku in Delta State. And I come from a family of 4. My mother had 4 children. 3 girls and 1 boy. I am number 2.
Okay.
That is, I'm second
The
to
second.
the eldest. Yes, I'm
Yeah.
the second.
Okay, that's all right. That's Lady Betty Iboka there. Now we're going to go down memory lane. We want to look at your early years, as they call it, formative years, growing up. Let's get to meet C, Lady Betty Iboka. Or I should say, let's see Betty as a small girl. How was life growing up?
Well, I had a very strict upbringing. My mother was a big disciplinarian. She was a fish trader. In my home at that time, everybody had a share in the chores in the house. Every morning my mother woke us up at 5 o'clock. But it was better for you to wake up at 5 o'clock. It was a routine. Because if she had to wake you up, she won't let you go and eat yourself. She will ask you, if I didn't wake you up, you won't remember that you were present. So you had to wake up on your own. We said the rosary between 5 and 5:30. At 5:30, everybody was out. One of the girls, my elder sister, usually would go to the farm to go and bring firewood. Either myself or my younger sister would go to the stream to go and bring drinking water. We had a well, that took care of every other thing. But the drinking water, we had to go to the stream to go and get it every day. Then one person was left at home to cook breakfast for everybody. At 7:30, everybody converged again at home. Between 7 o'clock and 7:30. We had breakfast together and off we ran to school. In the afternoon, once school was over, say 2 o'clock school was over, we came back to the house. That person who cooked breakfast will cook lunch. While the other 2 may just do some little jobs around the house. we converged to eat lunch. And then the two of them, the one who went to the farm in the morning and the one who went to the stream, we take my mother's lunch to the market. We wait for her in the market until the day closed. While you remained at home to cook dinner. That was our typical day. So my mother will create jobs for you, whether she was there or not, so that you could be monitored, so you have no time for frivolities. That was how we grew up. But I grew up in Ogwashuku, strictly a farming community. And everybody went to the farm. The men went to the farm, the women went to the farm to bring cassava. Everybody relied on processing of cassava into gari and fufu. So, and this cassava had to be conveyed from the farm, on our heads. I tried that thing a number of times, and I went to my mother. In her sober moments, I went to her once or twice, and I told her, I don't think I want to carry cassava on my head. I don't want to carry load on my head. She was a bit sarcastic. And she would say, then carry it in your hand. How are you going to survive? This is all we do in this community. So if you are not going to carry load on your head, how are you going to survive? If you have to trade, you carry the load on your head. If you have to process cassava, you carry the load on your head. And you say you won't carry the load on your head. How are you going to survive? How are you going to be able to help your husband to raise your children? So when I went a third time, and she said the same thing, I told her, there's no way I'm going to, that I'm going to carry load on my head. So I think the message was sent. So one morning she called me out, and she said, come and meet my friend. So I came out and I saw a well-dressed woman early in the morning, an unusual sight in that kind of place. The woman had a notebook under her armpit and a biro. My mother said, this is the only woman in this community that does not carry load on her head. I got very excited. I said, how? How does she survive? Having been told that you had to carry load on your head, whether you were trading or whether you were processing gari, you had to carry the load on your head. I got very excited. I now asked my mother, I said, so, how does she do it? He said she writes with that notebook. And at the end of the month, government gives her money to look after herself. I got really interested. So I asked my mother, so how did she get there? And she told me she went to school. I said, then I must go to school. There's an alternative. So I must go to school. So one night I was, we had this big bed where 4 of us, my 2 sisters, myself and my mother, where we would normally sleep. In the night I heard my elder sister telling my mother, I don't want my sister to go to modern school. And my mother just stood up, sat up on the bed and said, why? My sister said, because I don't want her to end up being a grade 3 teacher. My mother said, but you went to modern school and you're a grade 3 teacher and you don't want your sister to go to modern school. My mother said, but don't you see she's very intelligent? I don't want her to end up being a grade 3 teacher. So my mother asked her, but there's no, so what will she do? Said, she should go to secondary school. My mother said, but there's no secondary school in Ogwashuku. So,
as at that time?
As at that time, there was no secondary school in Ogwashuku. But my sister said, one is going to open in Onitsha next year. And my mother said, so, who is going to look after her there? Who does she know? My sister said, but I teach in Ila, so you don't have to come. I will visit her when it is visiting day. And she's going to live in the boarding house. My mother turned to her and said, boarding house. So, you people want to send me to Abo prison because I know that would be big money. My sister said, no, I'm working already. So when I get my salary, I will bring it to you. You use it to pay her school fees. That was how I went to secondary school.
Wow.
That was how I went to secondary school. Unfortunately, just before, okay, I went to a secondary school, you know, a new secondary school. So we were meant to do 6 years instead of 5 years. I went to that place in 1963. I eventually came out in 1968. So, in 1967, the war broke out. So, I didn't quite connect, you know, that it may truncate my ambition to go to school. But what really sent the message was that my father called us, called the three of us and said we must get married. So, I didn't understand why. I said, why? He said, because you'll be taken away by soldiers and taken to unknown land. And I won't watch my children being taken away. So you must get married, since they are not taking away married women. I went into the room and I cried and I cried and I cried. I said, so if I get married, I'll start carrying load again on my head. So when my husband, before I got married. So one morning I was running an errand for my mother. And I met somebody who eventually became my sister-in-law. She just saw me. I was coming out of my father's premises. And she saw me saying, I like you a lot. My brother is looking for a wife. I would like my brother to marry you. And I said, my father said we should get married. I just said it innocently. Every other thing is history. That was how I got married. Well, when my husband came along, I told him, my father has said I should marry. I will marry you, but you will allow me to go to school. He said, fine, but you must have all our children before you go to school. I said, no problem. That was how I got married. I got married, and it was like every other year, because I was in a hurry to finish, so I could go to school. I eventually had all the children, and when the last one was 8 years, I went to him and I said, I want to go to school. I said, how
that dream, you still have it?
Yes. So he said, how? How are you going to leave this large number of children for me? I said, it was a deal. We agreed that if I must marry you, then I must go to school. So he said, okay, let me think about it. The next day I went to him in the morning and I said, it's time for me to go to school. And he said, okay, fine. I said, because in any case, government has liberalized everything. Yes, they have, you know, they had now given permission for people who wanted to go to school to go to school.
And then there was free education.
Not free education. In the, you know, government came with a circular that if you didn't improve yourself, you may not be promoted. And I was already working in the judiciary.
At that time?
At that time, I was already working in the judiciary. Okay. Everything had been liberalized. Government could now allow you to go to school on full pay, on day release, whatever. But they had, you know, liberalized everything. So I told him, you stand to lose nothing. Because government, I would obtain leave of absence and I would go to school.
So for many years, you were just having your children. It took
No,
years.
I was working.
Okay.
I was working. I got a job in the judiciary, even before I got married.
Okay.
So I was working
secondary school
yes,
certificate.
Yes, with the secondary school certificate. I got a job in the judiciary, and I was working as a clerical officer. Okay. But while I was there, I had seen some young girls who were lawyers. And men, I couldn't reconcile it. That some girls were in the village carrying cassava on their head, and some were already lawyers. So I thought that there was a way there. So that was how I went back to school. But by the time I started, I found that I didn't have the qualifications because I went to a village school. So I had maybe 2 subjects, science subjects, 2 social science subjects, 2 art subjects, which didn't make up to anything. So that one was the first challenge I had. At this time, my children were already writing their school certificates. So I would take them to their JAMB lesson, school certificate lesson, and I would drop them. Before I would get home, it was already time to come and pick them. So I said there was no need wasting my time and wasting my phone. When I dropped them, I would pass the back door and enter their class.
For lessons?
For lessons.
Which you didn't pay for?
No,
you paid
I eventually paid, yes.
Oh, you eventually
I paid, yes.
Wow.
I paid. I went and registered, but I didn't tell them.
Oh, wow.
So I was in the same class with them. And they didn't know, nobody found out. Until the day my script was ready in front of the class and my name was called. They were taken aback. That was how I now polished up my school certificate, made all A's in that exam.
Wow.
And then that now spurred me.
You.
And I felt that I could really start off again. So that was how I went back to school. I went back to school, started with public administration because...
As in the higher education now we're talking about, you went back to university.
Yes, I went back to the university. And I started with public administration. It was fashionable because I was already doing administrative jobs.
Okay.
So I started with public administration. But when I finished, the year I came back, it was like I hadn't done anything. I said, how can I be working in the judiciary and be doing administration? So the same year, I wrote the exam to go back and read it up. Yes. So having called to the Nigerian Bar, I joined the prestigious law firm of Chike Onimena to start my practice. So I practiced with him for upwards of 8 years, and I thought I should go on my own and now establish my own law firm. But I thought, maybe because of the discipline I had in his chambers, the discipline I had as a child, I thought it wasn't right to do everything that came your way. So I was picking and choosing, the cases to do.
Okay.
As a result of that, I didn't quite have enough to keep me busy. So I decided that in any case, since I was interested in peacemaking, I could, do this alternative dispute resolution. So I started the certification courses. I first certified as a mediator, as an arbitrator, then a mediator, then a negotiator, before I was appointed as neutral in the multi-door courthouse. So now, when cases are referred to to the multi-door, depending on your areas of interest, you'll be sent for to come and help, parties resolve their disputes. And once you get to an agreement, it is signed by the ADR judge, and it is sent back to the court, and court enters it as consent judgment. I derive a lot of pleasure. I derive a lot of pleasure doing that because you gain friends.
Yeah.
It's not like when you do a criminal case. You win a case, the accused person is happy, but the person who was hurt becomes your enemy. But when you do ADR, as they are living, everybody's, congratulating you, they are congratulating themselves because everybody's happy.
It's at peace.
Everybody's at peace. Business partners can continue their business. It's not like the court. When you have taken your business partner to court, you're not likely to continue doing business with that person. If they are brothers who have come to ADR, by the time they finish, they go back. and their friendship continued.
Wow.
So I derive a lot of pleasure doing ADR.
Wow.
But I also do civil cases.
Okay.
You know. So that is the
That's the journey so far.
Yes.
How you started your education.
Yes.
Because you just didn't want to carry loads on your head.
Simple.
And today
It's not as if I didn't carry load on my head at the beginning.
Yeah.
But I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I didn't think it was a way of life. Because every morning, if you had to go to the farm, you can't bring out your best clothes to wear to the farm. So they were, you know, people who went to the farm always wore old clothes. And because they would be in the business of processing that cassava almost the whole day, you know, they are wearing old clothes. So I didn't like it.
You needed a different life for yourself.
Even though I wasn't sure where I was going to, but I didn't just like that village life at all.
And it's good. You worked towards achieving what you wanted. And today, here you are. I know you call it ADR. You know, we're not in the legal profession. But then, I'm learning some more from you today.
Thank you.
Different aspects of the...
Yes. ADR is actually settling disputes. It's alternative dispute resolution.
Wow.
While you go to court to do litigation, you settle disputes in other ways apart from
going to court. And I love what you do. And I'm happy you chose to pursue your dream. And here you are today, and making a living out of it, and having peace about it, and living your dream, having joy, doing what you are doing. Yes, I really like to encourage our fellow women out there. I know you are being inspired right now with her story. And Ma'am, let's get to know the challenges you encountered in life. Because I don't think it's all rosy. Part of it is getting married and cutting off first, but you still went back and you continued now. But let's get to know all the challenges you went through in life.
I had a lot of challenges. Number one, I had a large number of children. Food wasn't our problem because we were both working. But we couldn't afford much outside food and, you know, basic requirements. Sometimes it wasn't even enough. So I had to do a lot of things. I had to bake. I had to cook for maybe people who were having occasions. I had to cook, you know, involving almost all of them, all the children. At a point, I had to sell, okay, when they were going back to school, whenever the children were going back to school, and somebody came to me and said, Mommy, I don't have a box anymore. I would say, not to worry. When are you going back to school? They would say, 2 weeks time. Not to worry. I'll go to Onitsha. Buy sets of boxes. I will come back, put them in my boots, and off I went to the office. I sold the boxes. Once I came back from Onitsha, I would say, come and take the ones you want. Who doesn't have a box? Come and take the ones you want. And they would take the ones they want. I'll take the others to go and sell. If somebody said, I don't have a wristwatch anymore, I'll buy wristwatches when I go to Onitsha or when I go to Lagos. I'll come. They will take the ones they want and sell the other ones. You know, I baked, you know, to make ends meet. I baked. I sold clothes, I sold all sorts of things to make ends meet. So basically, principally, finance was the problem. Then secondly, when I got admission to read law in Uniben, I was still working in Benin. I was still working in Benin, in the former Bendel state. But once the states were created, and I had, you know, I had gotten admission and I had, you know, planned it out that I would just go to school in Benin, you know, go to the office the days I don't have lecture, and then go to work the days go to school the days I don't have to work, and come to work the days I don't have lecture. But it didn't work out like that because states were created. And we now were faced with moving to Delta State. I hadn't resumed my lectures yet when states were created. So I came back to Delta. I had to move the probate department. I was in probate department at that time. I had to move the probate department to come and set it up in Delta. So I couldn't really leave, to go back to Benin, stay in Benin and go to school. So I was now shuttling from here to Benin every week. I would leave on Thursday, had my lectures Thursday, Friday, Saturday. On Sunday, I would hop into public transport when I was tired and I couldn't drive to come back to Delta for work on Monday. So for 4 years, I was on the road every week for 4 years. It wasn't fun. It was towards the end that Honorable Justice Roselyn Bosimo, I explained my situation to her and she now allowed me, study leave with pay.
Oh wow.
So I now went and I stayed in Benin to conclude my course before I now returned finally to my job. Wow. So it was really a challenge.
And with determination, I would say, you scaled through.
Yes. Apart from being on the road for 4 years, and I had to run 2 homes. My husband and I were here, so if I had to go to Benin for my lectures, I would have to make sure that there was enough food prepared in the freezer before Thursday. And if I had to leave my children in Benin on Sunday, I had to make sure that they had food stock because they were big now. Okay. So I had to make sure that the house was properly stocked. Okay. So running 2 homes, driving on the road, hopping into public transport for 4 years. It wasn't fun.
But you scaled through.
Yes, by the grace of God.
Yes.
By the grace of God.
Yes. You just said something. Your children were already big now.
Yes, they were.
Now, how will you advise younger ladies, other women that have to pursue a career and take care of home, that have younger children? Because a lot find it very difficult to want to balance work and schooling, and that's how they drop off halfway, or they just resign to say, I can't do it. How would you advise women, younger women, or women that have younger children to be able to hold their home and hold on to a career and pursue it to become something in life in future?
Well, talking about career, I don't think it's a very difficult thing if you are in the same town as your young children, because you are with them, so you will prepare them in the morning, take them to school, arrange extra lessons and all that. Go to school, pick them and pick them home, feed them. That won't be a problem. But if you had to pursue something like pursue your education outside there, I would always advise one thing at a time. My mother told me when we were growing up, she told me, she said, when you are raising children, you have no mates. You can't say, I want to do this thing like my mates. No, because if you make a mistake about your child, you can't correct it. So I will always advise, if you have young children and you have to, for example, leave the town to go to school, I won't advise it. It's better for you to sacrifice your time and look after those children. Because, especially girl children shouldn't leave your presence. Because men are like hawk. As you are watching them, they are watching you. And the young children are not sensible. I don't know if you understand.
Yeah, I do. I understand.
The young children, they are not sensible. My mother did tell me something that stuck into my brain. She told me, she said, look at these young boys. When they approach you, look at their trousers. And I said, what about their trousers? I said, look at their trousers. It's either it's too short or it's too tight. I said, so what does that one, what has that one got to do? She said that shows you that they have nothing to offer anybody. It's what their parents bought for them that they are wearing. They just come along to come and deceive you. And if they make you pregnant, they will continue their education while you stop. So, if you have children, you must watch them to a certain age before you can actually leave them. You must monitor them, whether you are there or not. You must find a way of monitoring them. So you can, while you can combine rearing your children with your career because you are in the same town with them, please don't leave them to say you are going elsewhere. Nobody looks after your children like yourself.
Let's look at domestic violence. As a mother, a grandmother, over and over again, we won't have to start counting how many grandchildren right now. I want to get your advice concerning domestic violence. It's all on marital issues right now. A lot has been happening around concerning domestic violence. What is your take and advice concerning domestic violence?
Well, I believe that in a relationship like marriage, there should be a lot of communication. A lot of communication. If you say everything, it will be difficult to get to where one party will hit the other. If you agree on many things, even before you carry them out, I don't think it will become necessary. Unless the person, the aggressor, unless the aggressor is a drunkard. When a man is sane and the woman is, when both of them are sane and they can talk about everything in the world, I don't think they will get to that stage.
Okay, so we're looking at communication.
Communication.
Solving the issue of domestic violence. Okay.
But if this fails and a man hits you the first time, don't keep quiet. Don't keep quiet about it. Talk to him about it first. I was told that if you talk to your husband in the morning, early hours of the morning, he ought to be sober. He hasn't started a new day and he had rested from the
Previous day.
And you talk to him and he doesn't apologize, then there's something behind it. You will watch. If it happens a second time, then somebody else must hear about it. Because a man continues in that manner if no other person knows about it. But once a third person knows about it, he tends to check them. So if you keep it to yourself, domestic violence can reduce you and you will lose self-confidence in yourself. Because you look at yourself, you dress up and you come to the mirror, and somebody is battering you. You begin to wonder, is he me? This me? And you begin to lose confidence in yourself. So you must not let anyone make you feel that you are nobody. You must believe in yourself that you count. And that someone is not supposed to be hitting you. I'm not saying house help. Besides, you must improve on yourself and have a self-worth. Because if you are making your contribution, whether it's financial contribution, whether it is contribution in raising the children, and you are so valuable in the home, before a man takes out his hand to slap you, he is going to remember that you are very, very important to him and important to his children. And he won't want to lose you. But if you are waiting for him to bring money to do your hair, to bring money to pay children's school fees, to bring money to pay the rent, of what use are you to him? When he wants to hit you, he won't think twice. So make yourself indispensable in the home. It will help check this violence.
Okay.
You also have to listen, because he's the head of the home. You also have to listen to him. Hear him out. Make your own suggestions and listen to him.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. We know domestic violence is one issue that we really cannot exhaust in just 1 minute. If we go on and on, because we've had situations where the woman is the breadwinner in the home. In very many situations, we have cases like that. Like what you're talking about, you have to support, you have to be able to do something, don't wait completely for the man to do. But now, we've seen situations where the woman, the lady, is breadwinner in the home. She does almost everything.
Yes.
Perhaps maybe it's 80-20, the way you say it. The woman is 80, the man is 20. It happens in situations like that. But yet, the woman is being violated. And you see a lot of women, some keep it to themselves, like you say. They don't want to talk about it because they don't want issues and an outsider to hear about what's happening, and that's how it gets worse. And before you know it, it's like it's becoming too late to settle the matter. So in such situations, what do you do?
That's where ADR comes in. If you can't talk to a third party and you cannot talk to your priest, then you must talk to a counselor.
At least you must talk to somebody.
You must talk to somebody. You must talk to somebody. So that he can be called to order. You must talk to somebody. Again, you find that it now comes down to complex. A man is not doing what he's supposed to do in the home. He still wants you, when you have done all that, he still wants to lord it over you. It doesn't mean that he should lose respect. You know, it really depends. If a man has been working and fending for the family, all of a sudden he loses his job, you shouldn't lose your head.
Sure.
You shouldn't lose your head.
Yeah.
Because we have ups and downs in life. That
yes.
Is
just a
phase.
phase.
Down. It's a
at
phase.
that time. Yeah.
And it will pass. But if you get married to a man who is indolent, I'm sure you saw him before you married him.
That's why they say you made a mistake or whatever, but then we don't want to believe there are mistakes.
Well, whatever God allows to happen,
Yes.
I won't call it a mistake.
At all.
I won't call it a mistake because
It's an
it's
experience
the
you should learn.
ultimate job. It's an experience, and it is something that you must go through. In going through it, you need prayers. In going through it, you need talking. In going through it, you need hard work.
Yes.
But when the man doesn't change, because you're not expecting that you're going to be able to change an adult. So there's a big problem. There's a big problem.
And I guess that's why it's becoming a talk of the day so much around domestic violence, and these days we are beginning to see the reverse as the case.
And the women
This
are
time
now
around, the
becoming
women are now
violent.
the ones violating the
When you press a woman to the wall, if you make her do your job, then you beat her in addition. It's unfair. But I don't support violence.
At
I don't
all.
support it.
That's right.
If you can remain in a marriage, remain in a marriage. If you cannot remain in a marriage, by all means, you can go your separate ways, providing for the upbringing of your children.
Okay, like I said, if we go on domestic violence, we can exhaust all in it for
Yes.
a day. So
Yes.
let's go on to know about the most important lessons you learned from your mother and those women that have inspired you in life and growing up until this year. You just told us you're 72 this year. Ma'am, you don't look it one bit.
Thank you very
But
much.
let's get to learn and tap from those lessons you have learned from your mother and other women that have inspired you in this life up until this age.
Well, my mother inspired me a lot because she did everything she did her best. I learned from her that there's nothing impossible if you have God. There's nothing impossible. Life is not a bed of roses. Neither is it made of crystal stairs. The step you are taking in life, you never will tell where it will lead you. But that doesn't make you sit down and say, I'm not going to try. All you need in life is to set goals. You have your daily goal. At the end of the day, flash your mind back. Look at it. Have I achieved everything that I ought to achieve today? You have a weekly goal. You have a monthly goal. Then you have a yearly goal. That goal that you have set for yourself. That is the lesson I learned from my mother. The goal you have set for yourself. If you cannot run to achieve that goal, you walk. It may take a longer time, but you will get there. If you cannot walk to achieve that goal, then crawl. But don't stop. Keep moving. That is the one I learned from my mother. Then, talking about women who have inspired me. I had a friend. She's now PhD holder. You know, when I was complaining, when I was going to school and it was really difficult, I told her, I said, I don't even know why I'm reading all this. Every year I will go read one thing. I said, I don't even know why. She said, not to worry. It will open ways for you. And you will now be picking and choosing. Meanwhile, she had children herself. And she was always going back to school. She was principal at that time. But she went back, read her master's, went back again, read her PhD. So she really inspired me. Then the present chief judge, she was my personal friend. You know, I saw her when she was a magistrate. I saw her when she was a chief registrar. While I was in school, she became a judge. So I was like, so these things are possible.
Yeah.
So these ones really inspired me. My mother, the one who encouraged me, telling me that, you know, it will open ways for me. And, you know, the people I saw in the judiciary, they were moving. We were looking at them while we were working as, you know, administrators. They were flying. So they really inspired me.
Okay, we keep saying that we should train up the girl child in the way she should go, so she can become that which she desires to want to be in life. She can fulfill her dreams. Let's help the girl child. Let's train the girl child. Let's encourage the girl child. That's what we're saying here. Because as I say often, yesterday's girls are today's women. And today's girls will equally be tomorrow's women. And what do we expect from womanhood if we don't train the girl child, if we don't believe in the girl child and encourage the girl child to, you know, follow her dreams and lead her in the right way to go? They say there's a lot that mothers have to do. Okay, so let's keep doing what we ought to do as mothers, be it your biological child, girl child, or just a girl child that you are taking care of. We need to all do what we can do. It's the woman in you, and my womanhood is my pride. Let's keep taking joy and pride in our womanhood, because you are 100% that queen sister. We are still talking with Lady Betty Eboka here. Before we let you go, ma'am, we want to know the secrets to your staying successful, going through all of this and still achieving. And today here you are at 72, looking so much younger than your age, still beautiful and still achieving.
Thank
What's the secret?
Thank you very much. I give all the glory to God, because anything could have happened along the way.
Yeah.
If I was driving to Benin for 4 years, I could have gotten involved in an accident that could have maimed me. So that's why I say I give all the glory to God. But talking about, there's a way people are made. Some people are made, they are big, and they eat a lot. I don't eat a lot. And I try to be disciplined about what I eat. That's the only thing I do. Every other thing I give glory to God.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Let's advise our young ladies and our women out there as well. Just that one advice.
Be yourself at any time. Be proud of who you are. Set goals for yourself. Be determined to achieve excellence. Never stay in one spot. If you cannot walk, if you cannot run, walk. If you cannot walk, crawl. But by all means, keep moving.
Beautiful. And I'm taking it away from there. She said it. By all means, pursue your dreams. Yes. If you cannot run pursuing it, please work. If you can't work, you can crawl. But by all means, and as much as you can, achieve that dream that you so desire to achieve in life. It is possible. It will take only determination from you. It takes you believing in yourself and having confidence in yourself, even as a woman, that yes, indeed, I can be this. Yes, she went through school because she believed in herself that she will achieve it. And at 72, you can see her beautiful, young, and working, living her dream. Yes, it's been the time out with Lady Betty Eboka, and I hope you are inspired this day, having heard parts of her life story. Let's do this again next week when we come with another interesting edition with another beautiful, elegant lady on the woman in you. I've got pride, I've got potentials, and my womanhood is my pride. Joy Uche is my name. I'll see you next week. Sister, you're 100% that queen. Believe in yourself.